How to crochet the comfort dishcloth. This one is so much fun. Alrighty, so I am ready to get started on my dishcloth. I'm going to be using 2 strands of WeCrochet Cotlin held together. I've included all of the materials and yarn information down in the description box below, and you can also find the pattern linked down there, both the paid version and the free version on my blog. And in the pattern, I've included so much information on just yarn choices, but basically this is one of those patterns that you can just kind of take it and run with it. So have fun choosing yarn. Again, I'm holding 2 strands of a DK weight held together, but and also a size J hook, but you can very easily modify this dishcloth to make it any size you want using any yarn you want. So I'm going to start off with a slip knot like I have here, and I'm going to chain 22 stitches. Now, this pattern is not worked in a multiple, so if you'd like to make your dishcloth wider, simply chain more here. If you'd like it to make it narrower, simply chain less. This sample measures about 7.5 inches square once it's complete, so you can keep that in mind as well. So I'm going to chain 22, and let's count, because I definitely wasn't counting when I was talking. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, take out a couple here. And there we go. There is my 22 chains. And now I'm going to begin row 1. So, super simple. We are going to place a double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. These 2 chains are going to count as our turning chain that simply keep our edges straight and get us to the right height to work our double crochet stitches. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that 3rd chain, and work a double crochet. And then I'm just going to work a double crochet in each stitch across. So just 1 stitch per chain. You should have a total of 20 stitches at the end of this row if you are working to pattern. But again, feel free to modify it however you'd like. This dishcloth is so simple. And I really love the look of the marl yarn too. I just think it adds a bit of a, fun flair to this otherwise pretty simple dishcloth. Okay, I am approaching the end of my row. I have just a few double crochet stitches left to do. Be sure to not catch that tail like I almost did. That would result in a tangled and not so fun mess. Alright, here's my last stitch. I'm going to work a double crochet into that while being sure to catch both those strands of yarn. Alrighty, so there is row 1. We worked a double crochet in each stitch across. Now row 2 is going to be the start of our repeat. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to work a half double crochet in each stitch across. So we did a double crochet for 1 row. Now we're going to do half double crochet, and we're just going to alternate those. So I've worked a chain 1, and into this very first stitch, I'm going to work a half double crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And I'm going to do that 1 in every stitch. Oh, lost that one. All the way across. 1 half double crochet per stitch. Half double crochet is one of my absolute favorite stitches. I just feel like you can get in such a rhythm with it. I love it. Alrighty. You're going to notice that this dishcloth goes by so quick. Definitely contributes to holding 2 strands of DK weight together and a J hook, but really any yarn I think would make this dishcloth just fly off your hook. Okay, so I have row 2 complete, and like I said, that is the start of our repeat. For row 3, we're going to do the same exact thing as row 1. We're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we're going to work a double crochet in each stitch across, and that is our repeat. So we're going to work a half double crochet row, and then a double crochet row, and we're going to repeat that until our dishcloth is as long as we want it to be. Now, I like to make my dishcloths square, so I'm going to work about 11 rows, and I will show you a little trick to kind of test it to see if it's square in a really quick way when I get to that point. But you could also kind of turn this into like a towel or a rectangular washcloth or dishcloth, whatever suits your fancy. But again, for row 3, we are just going to work a double crochet in each stitch across, and then we will repeat rows 2 and 3. until our dishcloth is as long as we want it to be. So I'm going to work a total of 11 rows. Again, just repeating rows 2 and 3, we should end on a double crochet row, which is also the right side of our work. You'll have an odd number of rows to end off with. So I'm going to go repeat these rows until I have a total of 11. And then I will meet you back here to test to see if your dishcloth is square and add our single crochet border. Alrighty, so I just finished row 11 for my dishcloth, and the size that I'm making is also written exactly like this in the pattern. But I wanted to go ahead and show you a quick trick to kind of test to see if your dishcloth is square. Obviously, you could measure the size, and make sure that it's 7 inches by 7 inches or whatever. But sometimes you don't have a tape measure on you, and I really like this trick just because it's so quick. Literally just take the opposite corner and fold it over. And if it makes a perfect triangle with no ends going over, like so you can see my ends are lining up perfectly, you know that it is a perfect square. So, very simple trick. Definitely not my original idea, obviously. But I really like using it. I use it all of the time. So, I finished the body of my dishcloth. You could also totally leave it exactly like this. You could cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and this would be a beautiful dishcloth or washcloth in and of itself. However, I really like the look of adding a single crochet border, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. I prefer to simply work from my last row, which is why we ended on a odd number so that we have the right side of our work facing us. And again, I like to just kind of continue right after this row. I prefer not to cut my yarn if I'm using, the same color of yarn, obviously. So I'm just going to continue right off the end here. I am going to start by placing a single crochet in the double crochet that I just worked, so around that post. And then I'm going to place another single crochet at the base of that stitch. So we're going to single crochet evenly around the entire piece. The way that works best for me is to place about 2 single crochet stitches per double crochet row and 1 single crochet stitch per half double crochet row. That just works for me. It makes my edges nice and neat. It doesn't really matter, what your formula is, as long as you come out with about equal stitches on all 4 sides, because obviously that is what will help keep our dishcloth being a perfect square. So I've worked a single crochet here. I'm going to work approximately 2 in the next double crochet row, and then 1 in that half double crochet row. I know it's, if you're a beginner, it can be kind of hard to be told single crochet evenly in a certain place, but once you get some practice in it, you really just find that your hook kind of knows where to go, and it just makes much more sense. Okay, so I am continuing down this side, and I'm almost to the corner here. Once I get to the corner, I'm going to place 3 single crochets into it. Alrighty, so I've worked 1 last double crochet in that double crochet stitch, and then in this very first chain, I'm going to place 3 single crochets so that we can round out that corner and keep them nice and neat. And then I'm going to start single crocheting along the bottom foundation chain. I'm also going to work over this end to go ahead and just weave it in a little bit. So I'm going to go through that stitch and then also work over those ends, just so I don't have to weave them in later. Saves a little bit of time. And I'm just working 1 single crochet per chain. Let's see, all my ends are tangled up. There we go, and that should be good in terms of weaving in my ends. So I'm just going to continue single crocheting across, just like this. And this is what we're going to do all the way around. So place 3 single crochets per corner, work back up the side, and then place 1 single crochet per stitch up at the top of our dishcloth as well. And then I will meet you back here to work at the very last corner. Okay, so I'm to my very last corner. I am at the last double crochet that I did, and then where I started the single crochet border. Now, if you'll remember, I did not place a set of 3 single crochets into this corner, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Like I said, here's my last stitch, and then I'm just going to place a couple more single crochet stitches into that. And then I'm going to slip stitch to this very first single crochet stitch that I did. And there we go. There's a finished dishcloth. Isn't it so stinking cute and so super quick? So I am going to cut my yarn right here-ish, leaving just a few inches so that I can weave them in nice and securely. And then I'm going to grab my yarn needle, flip it to the wrong side, and thread those strands of yarn through. And then I'm just going to go through a few stitches on the back side here to weave in this in. So really no rhyme or reason. Just kind of go through, split the strands a couple of times. I just want to make sure that it is nice and secure because washcloths and dishcloths get so much use. Alrighty. And then also down here, so I crocheted over this tail. I'm just going to give it a little tug to make sure there's no, lumps or bumps in that yarn. And then I will just trim both of those ends and this other one up here. And there we go. There is our finished dishcloth. Hope you found this tutorial helpful and enjoyable to follow along with, and I also hope that you love your finished object. Be sure that I have included all of the links to the materials that I used, the materials that you'll need, and all of the links to the pattern in the description box below, as well as links to my other social media platforms and pattern shops. So just be sure to check all of that out if you are so desired to do so. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials, and then click that notification bell right beside it so that you get a little alert every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy making. Bye!